A nose fracture and concussion kept Scoot Henderson out for about a month, but he's recently returned to the court and picked up right where he left off, doing spectacular things and showing himself of being more than worthy of the hype. He's almost like a veteran at this point and people come to kind of expect what he does, but he's still just an 18-year-old point guard in his second year as a pro, and with that in mind, the level that he's been at is simply special and should be treated as such. He's continued to be a dynamic athlete with an innate ability to make the spectacular look normal, whether it's getting it off the glass and beating everyone up the court, or more subtle stuff like his deceleration, the pickups when heading to the bucket, and the stride length and timing when moving at these speeds is all super impressive. And while he's not the tallest at 6'2", he's built like a strong safety and cut like Orlando Dwight, not someone who was born in the same year Dwight was drafted. And one thing's for sure, he'll be bringing the physicality and athleticism far more than adjusting to it.
On the take, Henderson throws it off! Oh my goodness!
Defender that's above the rim.
But the thing that's popped most so far to me is what Scoot has done as a playmaker. You can point to a number of things: his control of the game against Victor Wembanyama, the 16 dimes against Santa Cruz, whatever it is, it's been tremendous. He's an automatic paint touch with his first step, which of course puts the defense in a bind, and he's continued to make the proper kickouts, and you can see the game kind of slowing down for him and his accuracy continuing to grow. And then in the pick and roll, he's highly aware of his options. He reads the low man and hits that corner skip like it's nothing, especially when going to his right. That's something you can expect to result in an assist at least a couple times a night. And again, though it's a smaller-ish sample because of the injury, I really like some of the passing he's done on the interior, the wraparounds and pocket passes in a way that I felt wasn't all the way there last year as a 17-year-old, particularly in the pick and roll, but he's making fantastic progress. It doesn't all need to be highlight reel worthy. It could just be reading the double or blitz and getting out of it quickly like he had to do against the Clippers, getting hockey assists, or just making those simple reads out of the high horn sets. He's just been putting his team in a position to succeed, being aware of his options, and finding them on time at a high level.
Nice drive to the basket. They know that too, so they're trying to give Ignite their best shot. Nice scoop shot. The play on this end for Ignite. Henderson leaves it inside. Mika, another.
Yeah, the Ignite and their win over Santa Cruz the other night trailed the whole game until the final 5 minutes.
I still live in the past.
Henderson, Mika has it tonight.
Like we mentioned, the base for all of this is how much pressure he can put on defense as a scorer, both in and out the pick and roll. That first step and ability to just explode out of a standstill or between the legs is matched by very few. And when you give a guy like that any type of advantage off a screen, you're going to be in trouble. And when you combine that with his threat of the pull-up midi, it is and is going to be really tough to scheme against. You only gotta watch him for like 5 minutes to understand that this pull-up is and will be his bread and butter for like the next 15 years. The percentages took a dip in that second Clippers game where his legs were clearly affecting him, but he's still shooting them at a pretty good clip that I expect will bounce back some, especially given the sample we have dating back to last year on that. And with a lot of the guys we've seen in the past, the Westbrooks, John Morants, John Walls, Derrick Rose, that in-between game has been huge in their growing success as a player, and Scoot's already got it.
Being humble, and he's being coached by a guy that was a guard. And so
I do think that he's grown a bit of a habit relying on this shot too much. There have been a few times this year where you'd like to see him use those gifts to get all the way to the rack, get to the free throw line a little more, or in the process make that big actually make a decision, potentially create another opportunity for your roller or another teammate. But for now you live with it because he is still so young and it is a good shot for him. It is somewhat nitpicking, but I think it's fair to say that he could have gotten some better looks on some of these possessions, not giving the defense a bit of an out, especially in those early clock no pass situations. One thing that we talked about in his video this summer was him adding a floater. He barely took any last year and he has that pull up, which is a worthy alternative in a lot of situations, but there are still some times where the floater makes more sense, and he's been trying it and has even hit some clutch ones recently. Now it definitely needs some more refining, but you love to see him start to put the little pieces together, and more than anything it shows that he's been working on his game, paying attention to detail, and continuing to add to what's already gotten him such an unbelievably long way at a young age. Now the thing that is strangely kind of gone under the radar in some ways is just how improved he's been as a shooter. You like to see more consistent volume. He still knows his game, but some of the step backs, the misdirection pickups, and the confidence in certain moments has really impressed me. He's not jumping nearly as high as he did in the past. It's more consistent. He's cut out some of that extra movement and roughness in the motion, and it bodes well. Both off the dribble and the catch, he's shown that the long-term shooting concerns can take a back seat, at least for the time being. And for someone who's as big a threat in the areas we've already laid out, it starts to get real scary when you think about his overall ceiling.
Henderson with some space.
King has cut this down to 3. Henderson stepping back and drilling.
Now going forward, there's not a whole lot I'll be looking for because he is pretty locked into that number 2 spot already. We mentioned some of the decision making on the pull-ups. I think the finishing was a little rusty recently since coming back, which is normal for 99% of players. But other than that, the main thing I'll be watching is his defense. He's been pretty solid, all things considered. The high level flashes both on the ball and making some beautiful reads help side have been there, but I do think his screen navigation, some of the containment, and general lapses and effort could improve. And with a guy like him, you're looking for every little spot they could further add to their impact as a player, and I think he could stand to fix a few things and get better on this end. I want to make myself clear because people can tend to take things the wrong way sometimes. I'm definitely not saying he's a cone, and this was a little more evident earlier in the season because he just had some super impressive moments versus Sebron recently, but I'm also not sold on him being tagged a great defender because he's a great athlete either.
Sebron drives, had it knocked away. You give him just a breath of air, he's gonna go.
Henderson has
He missed that good chunk of time with the nose and concussion, which thankfully isn't too serious of an injury that could have lingering effects, but I think he's still catching his rhythm to a degree. It's great to see him out there competing, especially because he doesn't gain anything tangible in terms of draft stock from playing, but you can always get better every time you step out there, and it'll be interesting to see just how far he can take this Ignite team in their first full schedule of G League games. Not necessarily to tell us anything new about him, but just showing certain intangibles and seeing how they perform with more stakes on the line. With all that being said, Scoot Henderson is one of the best point guard prospects we're going to see. His combination of attributes mixed with a level of tenacity and a mentality to be great doesn't grow on trees, and while there's not much of a chance that he goes first in the draft, that is no slight to him, as he would be the surefire number 1 guy in a lot of other years and is steps ahead of whoever separates themselves at number 3. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new around here, and comment down below what you think of Scoot's game and it seems that you think he'd help the most in the lottery this year. As always, I'm Keandre, this is Intellect. Till next time, I'm out.
I'm gonna try to lead my team to the win. If that changes the scout's mind, then so be it. I'm not gonna draft myself. I'm gonna just control what I can control.
I've been following him since I'd say 1 or 2 years. If I was never born, I think he would deserve the first spot.
Yeah, he's tough to guard, just what I expected. Every time the ball is in his hands, it's even something you feel on the court. Yeah, I was surprised in a good way. He's a great player.